Okay, it's Wednesday, April 9th. Can we call this Franklin County Commission meeting to order?
Commissioner Stottlemyre.
Present.
Commissioner Waymire.
Present.
Chair Harris.
Present.
Vice Chair Metter.
Present.
Commissioner Dickinson.
Have pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Stay standing.
Good morning. From Psalm 23 this morning. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures and leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. And so, Lord, even though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we shall fear no evil, for you're with us. Lord, your rod and your staff, they comfort us. You prepare a table before us in the presence of our enemies. Yes, you prepare a table before us in the presence of our enemies. You anoint our head with oil, and our cup overflows. So surely goodness and mercy shall follow all the days of our life, and we shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. God, I pray that for each person who comes to follow you, the great shepherd, I pray in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you. Public comment.
We have one. Warren McGill.
Morning. My name is Warren McGill. I live at 2256 Haskell Road. I'm here again to talk about zoning regulations and building codes and the requirement to enforce them, specifically at 1882 Louisiana Road. It's been a month since I last spoke, and nothing there has changed. Someone continues to stay in one of the accessory structures. You need to understand that it is a violation to build an accessory structure on a lot without a principal structure, a house in this case, planned with it or in place. Both structures are occupied without occupancy permits, and work continues because stop orders were not issued. After I spoke the last time, I met with the planning director, who provided me with a copy of a letter sent to the owner of 1882 Louisiana Road. It states in part that it was determined that an engineer would need to certify that the building meets the essential safety and building codes adopted by Franklin County, and that it was imperative that action be taken in the next 60 days to present the proper documentation for construction to be allowed to continue. This proffer is not supported by the Franklin County zoning regulations. In them, there is no mention of authority given to an independent engineer to dismiss violations of zoning regulations or building codes. There's no list of documents that allow prohibited work to continue, and there's no formula for granting a 60-day grace period. Instead, it's the planning director that is responsible for administrating the zoning regulations, for conducting inspections and determining compliance and issuing stop orders and imposing enforcement. The planning director should be instructed to notify the owner to immediately remove all unauthorized structures and to inform them that no new permits for accessory structures will be issued until a principal structure is planned and permitted according to the Franklin County zoning regulations. Thank you.
Consent agenda. We have considered approval of claim vouchers and tax change orders of negative $5,413. Consider approval of meeting minutes for April 2nd, and consider the approved emergency vehicle permits. Motion approved.
Second.
Commissioner Stottlemyre.
Yeah.
Commissioner Waymire.
Yes.
Commissioner Metter.
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson.
Yes.
Chair Harris.
Yes. Consider the special use permit application 2410 0003 Edwards. Pat?
Commissioners, while he's on his way up here, I want to give an overview of how this is going to go this morning. This item will begin with Pat Toth, who is our Planning and Building Director. He's going to introduce the item and give a brief overview. And then the applicant, Mr. Edwards, is going to have the opportunity to come present, and you will all have the opportunity to ask him questions. Once that has concluded, we will open it up for public comment. There was an opportunity to sign up. If you haven't signed up, then we're not going to accept any other comments, but you will have 3 minutes each to state what you would like to state. Once we've gotten through public comment, then there will be kind of a final board discussion, and you all can make your recommendations. So certainly feel free to deviate from that however you see fit, but that traditionally is how we conduct these. So Pat, if you'd like to go ahead.
All right, good morning, Commission. This location is commonly known as 3800 Montana Road, roughly 1 mile north of Ottawa. The project is the request to use the parcel to allow for the construction and operation of a commercial solar energy conversion system. The project will consist of 1,180 panels on the pond located to the southwest portion of the parcel, and another 7,500 panels on the land to the north and east of that pond. These panels will potentially be a source of supplemental power to various commercial businesses in the vicinity presently, as well as potential businesses and operations in the future. The Planning Commission had 2 public hearings and 1 study session. There were various concerns and discussion points, as you should be able to use the minutes of the meeting to refer to. Between the 2 meetings, you will note that there were 21 members of the public that spoke during the public discussion portion. A motion was made for recommendation of denial of the special use permit application 2410-003 based on the findings that insufficient information required in Articles 3, Section 3-3.01 V.3F and insufficient information required in Articles 3, Section 3-3.01 V.3B of the county zoning regulations. That's pretty much what I have for synopsis of what has happened. Any further questions for myself?
Do you have any documentation on a environmental study for the
I do not
water?
at this point.
Okay,
I believe the applicant has been working on it and may have
Okay.
something to present you.
thank you.
We can discuss this again later as we get into procedure, but basically you have 3 options here. You can approve this special use permit, you can deny the special use permit, or you can remand this back to the Planning Commission with specific instructions. That being said, per Kansas law, if you are going to override the Planning Commission, which as Pat said was unanimously against this, then you need a super majority. So 4 of you are going to have to vote in favor of this application in order for it to legally pass.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner.
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you all doing? Kind of was unclear as to how this was going to flow through, so I'm kind of prepared to talk to a number of different things. But Pat brought up the public comments, okay, which I would not have brought up, but since Pat brought it up, there were 21 total comments. I believe 4 would have been classified as in favor of me, okay, in favor of my application, okay. That would typically mean you'd think that 17 would be opposed, and really it was our state legislator giving a legislative report, okay. Gentleman talking about broad implications of energy within the economy, okay. Then there were multiple that were on the precedents, the concern that my special use permit application going through would create a precedence, okay? I've never got a definitive answer from the county as to does precedence exist with a special use permit or conditional use permit, okay? There were, in the voting phase from planning and zoning, two of the members of the board stated that their rationale behind their vote was they didn't want to set a precedence. Okay, two others referenced they wanted to delay this for the comprehensive plan so that it could, encompass a broader view as to what's going to transpire in the future. Okay. In the January meeting, I had asked Pat, can we get a clarification from the county? Okay, does precedence exist? Okay. I've got John Richardson from Anderson & Bird, who I'd like him to come up here and talk about precedence does not exist. Every special use, continuous use, permit is expected to stand on its own merits. Okay, and the perfect example of that is Douglas County. Okay, you've got, I believe there's 7 operating quarries up there, and applications from those same operators to Douglas County, the last 3 have been declined. Okay, how did precedence work in that? It didn't. Those were declined because of parts of the Golden Rule. The location that they were trying to put these quarries in didn't fit with the neighborhood, or there were they followed the Golden Rules. Okay, well, my application meets every standard set forth in Franklin County zoning and the existing comprehensive plan that was passed, I believe, in 2006, okay? I'm meeting the rules Franklin County has set forth, okay? Met every one of them. And also, planning and zoning, professional staff, went through the golden rules in this meeting about a month ago, or 3 weeks ago, okay? And explained how I met all of the criteria of the golden rules, which is what Kansas zoning law is supposed to be. You've got the statute, and then you've got the golden rules. If you meet those, why didn't I pass? Okay. That would be my question. I'd like Mr. Richardson to come up and explain just a little bit more about the golden rule.
I might interject before you do. The Board of County Commissioners have been told by their own legal counsel that whatever they do here is not going to set a legal precedent for any subsequent solar application. So I don't know that that is in dispute. If you want to bring your lawyer up, you can, but I don't know that there's any disagreement amongst the commissioners.
May I address Derek, or do I need to address you guys?
I'm not going to get into a legal argument with you. I think the board would like to hear about your application and what it entails, and would like to ask specific questions about your project. So I might recommend that we pivot in that direction.
Well, Derek, sorry. Chair, I would like to stay on this subject for one more. You can see that of the public comments, okay, the vast majority of them were concerned about setting a precedent, okay? 2 of the planning and zoning members used precedent as their rationale for their vote when they stated, I'm voting this way, and it is for this reason, okay? At a legislative coffee, it would have been, I guess, in February, I talked to Planning and Zoning Chairman Lewis Reed at the time, and I don't know exactly how the conversation shifted from what they had been talking about during that meeting to, Mr. Reed, do you understand that there is no precedence in Kansas law? And his answer back to me was yes. Has your Planning and Zoning Committee discussed this? Answer was yes. I said, has Pat talked to you guys about this? Answer was yes. Okay. However, when two planning and zoning members vote and use as their rationale setting a precedence, and nothing is said at the time, not, I'm going to say, a minute and a half earlier, when I tried to raise an objection while they were voting, I was told it was not my time to talk. That's, you know, I mean, I don't know, I got the minutes late last night from that meeting, but I've listened to the audio tape or the recording of it 20 times, probably. And I don't understand why somebody wouldn't say that's not a valid reason for your vote, okay? I mean, my conversation with Mr. Reed was, yes, we understand that. Pat has talked to us about that. I don't know whether Derek had talked to planning and zoning about that. I've never seen or found anything that, you know, in memo form, but I had asked for it in writing. I was like, the county needs to put out a definitive statement. This is not an issue, okay? Especially when, you know, 16 or 17 people in their public comments are saying precedents. They don't want Orion coming in behind them, you know, behind me. And, you know, I'll make things, because when you go through these minutes, if you go through these minutes, you'll see talk where I'm getting money from Orion. The first time the planning and zoning mentioned that there was another solar project and they said the name Orion, I thought there was a new Irish bar coming to town. I didn't know who the hell they were. And other than having cordial, hi, how are you? I'm not, it's not in my nature to really be rude, okay? That's all the interaction I've had with her. I've never had, hey, my project's going this way and this is my time. No, I've heard through the grapevine that they refer to me as the amateur, okay? I've got a better project than they do, I think. But that's neither here nor there. What would you like to know about my project that's not in the minutes or in the application? You know, I prepared a binder that was tabbed and I prepared it so that it's line of Franklin County Code, what you're looking for, where that information is, okay? So I went through the January minutes of the very first introductory meeting, and there was 41 questions asked by Planning and Zoning by 4 members of the Planning and Zoning Commission asked questions, okay? 51.2% of those questions came from one member, okay? And when I went through those questions, there were 24 of them that were directly addressed by a tab. How many panels, how many modules are there, okay? In Pat's Planning and Zoning introduction at that meeting, he very clearly stated the numbers. There's this many floating on the water, there's this many on trackers, okay? And then it's stated in 2 different locations in the design, there's this many floating on water and there's this many on trackers. So I don't understand, it made me question when I was beginning reading through these, did anybody do more than a cursory flip through? And it's a very complicated subject. I mean, I gotta think there's gotta be one of the most complicated or complex projects to ever, you know, come up in front of you guys. And, you know, I've been working on this for 2 years, you know, this project here and projects in other locations, because there's a heck of a lot of quarries around. And I've said multiple times to the people that are vehemently opposed, both here in Franklin County, in Douglas County, in Missouri, and in Indiana, is if you want to put an end to thousands of acres of solar panels, these utilities are not being given an option to opt out of solar energy. That's not what they're faced with, okay? And I talked to the KCC and the Southwest Power Pool. Folks very high level within those organizations at an energy conference in Lawrence, where I had between 40 and 50 minutes one-on-one with them about what I'm doing and how they thought this is unique. This is not only you're putting an energy project on unique land, previously quarried land, not prime farmland, okay? But you're using novel technology. The floating, there's about 15 to 18 floating projects here in the US now. Most of them are on municipal water supplies. A couple are on private lakes. The largest one is about 10 megawatts, so about double the size of what I'm proposing here, okay? The 2-axis trackers are not commonly used because they're much more expensive than 1-axis, which I kind of term the teeter-totter, okay? But I'm sold on the technology because of the way that it gathers, say, 3 o'clock p.m. light through the end of the day. When 1-axis trackers, their production curve is in the dirt. It's rapidly approaching zero. Well, that's when the utilities need the power the most, is the late afternoon, okay? That's why out at our land, Evergy asks the industrial users to curtail their usage, okay? And they also do that through two things. One, they give you the carrot and the stick, and it's like, we would really like you to curtail your usage. 2, if you don't, your demand charges are going to be through the roof. We're going to make it cost prohibitive for you, okay? Well, one of the things that I've done that I said in the public minutes, but it did not get into the application, is my layout for irrigation. Okay, it's 4 center pivots. 2 3-legs, a 4-leg, and a full-size 7-leg.
Mr. Edwards,
No.
I know you are very passionate about this, and you could talk about this probably till this afternoon. A lot of this information we have in here. Can we ask you some questions?
Certainly, but may I finish the irrigation part of this? Okay. There's no more agricultural project than a guy wanting to put center pivots out. I've got water rights, okay? I will have water rights if this goes, okay? The pivot dealer puts, I don't know, somewhere between 40 and 50 center pivots a year that he installs. Everyone he has to send Evergy a request for service at this location. For mine, it came back, we cannot provide electric service at that location. We're going to charge, upgrades will be $1 million. No. Okay? That right there tells you there's something wrong, okay? And the very last little bit, I'm not putting power onto what people talk about the grid, meaning the transmission grid. I don't need to go to the substation at American Eagle that's 6,000 feet away. I'm putting it onto the local distribution line that is sitting there 100 feet away to be interjected into the Evergy distribution area. There's a distribution substation a mile west of Anderson Tire, okay? So it will, let's say, allow me to do business things that I want to do, but also help all the local residents around. Keep that, if anybody's having a problem with brownout. Sorry. Go ahead.
So you've never done anything like this before?
Pardon me?
You've never done anything like this before?
My professional career has been in food processing equipment, food packaging equipment, and materials.
Are you working with anybody that's ever done anything like this before?
Pardon me? Yeah, Mark One Electric, Carl Privatera, the owner. Carl, can you come up here for a second?
Okay.
Carl's one of the owners of the largest electrical contracting company in Kansas City, Mark One Electric. And their most recent projects would be data and power service to Kansas City International Airport. Okay. the Facebook data center. Go ahead, sorry.
My name's Carl Privateer. I'm with Mark One Electric Company. Thanks for taking the time to listen to me. We've been working with Jason for over 3 years on this project, trying to see how we can assist in getting this thing off the ground. It's a very, very unique project, and it solves a lot of the problems for the energy companies that are trying to put solar on ag ground, because you're not putting it really on the ag ground, you're putting it on water that's really useless in most cases, because you can't really do much with the played out quarry. So it's very unique, and most of these regulated utilities have no choice but to provide some sort of solar or wind or some sort of energy that's not used by consumed fossil fuels. So we're all faced with that if whoever's connected to the grid is faced with it. Whoever pays energy bills is faced with this issue, because there are groups out there that are mandating that the utility has to provide, I don't know, a certain percentage of clean power. This is a great opportunity for everybody to be at the ground, I'm going to say the ground level, to provide a solution that basically isn't taken away from what I'm going to call the ag section. It does, there are quarries everywhere in the country that are, they're left with open pits, or they're left with lakes and so forth that are not usable. And this provides a great solution to reclaim the ground, providing useful energy. It's really not an eyesore, because typically these pits are sunken or they're deep. You don't really see the panels. But back to my company and our history, we've done a lot of major solar projects for the utilities in the greater Kansas City area. We do a lot of the major heavy infrastructure for Evergy. We're one of their contractors that do all their transmission distribution underground work. We don't do the overhead lines. We have a group that works with industrial type projects like General Motors, Ford, and so forth. So we do a lot of the heavy lifting. So we've got a labor force of close to 500. We're not just a mom and pop company. We see the value of this more so than just for the betterment of the entire country, to tell you the truth. But this would be one of the first ones in the Midwest that, if you get it online, I think you will be, you would be on the map for people wanting to come to see it. It's really unique. We would strongly recommend that you consider it. It is good for everybody. I don't understand what the rationale and why people are opposed of it. I just don't see it, because I've seen a lot of the big ones that are 700,000 panels. This isn't like that. I mean, these are contained to the size of the pond, and you're really not gonna, I don't see how it affects anybody other than, I don't see how it affects anybody in a negative way.
Can you, hold on one second. So with Carl's brother, Tony, who's president of the, Underground Electric Workers?
Yes, he's
National Union?
Yeah, this is it's a group called the NUCA, National Underground Utility Contractors. So he represents all the utility contractors around the country to labor relations, as well as issues that they're faced with and how they can work with the federal government, lobbying, and state governments to help them with their infrastructure needs. So we have a strong relationship with a lot of the major contractors around the country that could help implement similar projects throughout the areas.
If a young man from, say, about a half a mile away at the Vocational Technical School, USD 290, wanted to get into a high-paying or good lifelong career, take that VOTEC knowledge and get into work at your firm, they would need to go through the union first, an apprenticeship program, correct?
Yeah, we have a joint apprenticeship.
Back to where we're at.
This is a plus. I've talked with the school district about that.
Let's get it rounded up.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trying to provide a path for kids from out here to go through the union, through their apprenticeship, and have a path to, hey, these are pretty good jobs as a union electrician. That's all I'm trying to say, sorry. Okay, so my professional background, food processing, food packaging, extremely technical, long-term, say 4-year to 7-year-long projects, okay? Where you're working with a number of vendors, putting a cohesive project together for somebody like Hormel Foods, Cargill, IBP, then now Tyson. So,
Does your project include a battery storage unit?
no, it does not.
Do you have a Part B to your project that includes a battery storage?
No, it does not.
Unit? So
No.
you've never discussed with anybody about wanting to later on?
I've obviously looked at battery storage, and just like so-called green hydrogen, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. It's not, on paper, makes no sense economically, okay? So actually, one of my good friends from Texas A&M, from when I was in graduate school, he sells those types of battery. He has sold multiple 200 megawatt batteries. And every application I've ever texted him about, Blake, here's the application, doesn't work, okay? For what I want to do in terms of providing power to industrial load, I'm not interested in propping up the greater Southwest Power Pool transmission grid.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I've got questions. You discussed that this is a complicated project, and I totally agree, but I don't feel as though we've gotten complicated plans. Yes, you have this notebook, and I have gone through it.
Okay, great.
Everything, so I have taken the time.
Awesome.
One of the things that I have concerns about is your SWEP plan, and like the stormwater, for people who don't know, stormwater pollution prevention plan. To me, it seems incomplete. You went into great detail with the gentleman with the state on how you're not going to be disrupting more than an acre of land, but this is a reclaimed rock quarry park. I mean, who's going to be overseeing that you're not going to disrupt more than what the recommendation is, therefore needing a SWEP plan that's approved? And because, whether you're driving your poles to hold the panels on the ground, I mean, having seen other rock quarries reclaimed, they just throw everything in the pit. And, I mean, if you're getting into huge boulders that are underneath the ground, then you may be disrupting more earth than just pile driving it in.
Well,
That makes sense.
No,
And then the other discussion, which a lot of mine does deal with the water, because that was the major concern of the Planning Commission, is you discussed at one point making a dam, damming up some of that water. Well, that's earth moving that was not even addressed in the, you're trying to decide if you need to get a SWEP plan that's approved. So, I mean, those are the concerns, on that aspect that I have. And so I did not see that there's, as I know of, we do not have a water pollution control manager or licensed as the county. And so will there be a WPCM on site or coming to check? Will the state come and check that you are following those guidelines? I mean, those are some, so that's, and I don't really want to talk about precedent if precedent doesn't matter. And my precedent is not necessarily what everybody else in this room's precedent is for like Orion's project. It's more the county allowing a project, because this is a big deal. We wouldn't have all these people in here if it wasn't a big deal. But it is making sure that we do it right, so other people are like, whatever, they'll just let us do it and come in on the back end. So that's one area.
Can
Yes.
I go through those three?
Yeah,
I
go
appreciate your
real quick.
concern and
Yeah.
greatly appreciate the fact that I would say, of anybody, you probably have a well-tabbed binder there, and gone through things thoroughly. Okay, on the land itself, okay, the reclamation letter from the Kansas Department of Ag, that land was reclaimed 20 to 25 years ago. It's a 13-acre tract, okay? It's got about 2 feet of topsoil on top of it, okay?
And is there a core drill or anything that verifies that that's 2 feet?
Pardon me?
Has there been any like core drilling?
We've never gone back and core drilled,
Because
reclaim.
and not everybody reclaims the same, but a lot of it, it's like 6 inches. Most quarries you go to when they reclaim, it's only 6 inches.
well, I was
I
out.
mean, that's the minimum.
I was out there with a guy that builds fence, because I got to build an 8-foot fence around there, walking through that. And we thought sometime in this next month, we'd get back there with a post hole digger and dig down to 4 or 5 feet, because he wants to know what he's going to encounter.
And so those are the things that
yeah.
I would think, because this is a complicated plan, that we should have planned out and already decided at
Well,
this
that should come
point.
at building permit time, not special use permit time, I would think. Those two, I mean, here, before I pull a building permit, I know I'm gonna have to have all of these kind of things, okay? That the fellows around the corner aren't gonna just go, oh, you got your special use permit, here's your building permit as well. No, there's gonna be a whole nother laundry list of things that, codes that need to be met, items like this, and, with the helical pile company, so the unique thing about the layout you'll see in there is I've got 82 trackers, okay? They're laid out so that they won't shade each other, okay, at any point during the day, east, west, north, south. I think it's 72 feet north, south, 80 feet east, west, I believe. To Kansas Solar, my first number one directive was I got to be able to get a hay baler through this. Don't go putting these things so tight together that I can't still cut hay. And at Canequip, they looked at me pretty funny when I asked them to see the small baler catalog, not the round baler. They blew the dust off of that box, and Ryan Kyle pulled that out for me. But if we encounter something like you said, like a boulder, well, one, I would question Mark Marietta, hey, why the hell are you putting a boulder down in here? Why didn't that get crushed and out the gate and I get paid a royalty on it, okay? Because most of that's caprock, shale, those kind of things, okay? I'm certain we're going to encounter things that the helical pile is not going to want to go down in smoothly. We may need a rock drill there. We're not going to know that. But that's something that comes, we could certainly discuss that at building time, but not holding up special use permit, which in my mind is, partially a political process, okay? And like I say, the fence builder and I, we're gonna have to go out, because he's got to put 12-foot wooden poles into the ground, so about 4 feet. We've got to figure this out. I was out there with him 2 weeks ago, okay? On the storm water, we don't move any dirt. I mean, I'm building a road, an access road that's, Phyllis said it's 14 or 16 feet wide, 800 feet long, to get me over that creek that we're gonna have to put a tube in for, okay? Well, installation of the tube, and then I brought up to planning and zoning, damming off the southwest end of that quarry pit, because there's, from when they were, I want to say down in there blasting and crushing, there's a diversion channel around that. That's 25 feet wide and 15, 18 feet deep. I mean, it'll handle all the water to divert around that pit, okay? And so I spoke with the Department of Agriculture, that's over all water in Kansas, and they sent me to their specific office for water structures, okay? You want to build a dam for anything that's more than 50 acre feet, they have to sign off on it. And so they would sign off on that. My conversation with them was, in concept, can I do this? And the answer after a week or so was, yeah, you should be able to do that. Now, and then they gave me a list of, this is the type of drawing we're going to want to see. We're going to see how this tube goes in. They have criteria there, and I'd be happy to share that with you, but I'm not going to do that work if the special use permit is not going to go through, or is not going to be approved, I guess.
So when, I mean, I guess, did you have another question?
I do not.
I guess that kind of leads me to another question, looking at the like satellite views. Have you worked with Martin Marietta on their quarry site plan? Because each rock quarry has to have a site plan.
Yes,
So the pond that you're putting on looks like it could be an outfall for the quarry.
an outfall.
An outfall is like quarries, because like even you talked about, like they have to test for the turbidity
Oh,
of
yeah,
water and all
yeah.
that stuff. So a quarry's,
That's where they test for
Water-
turbidity at the,
so it looks like, an outfall is where water leaves the rock quarry.
yes.
This pond looks like it is an outfall and could possibly be part of Martin Marietta's current like quarry site plan. And so that leads me to questions on, is it okay for them, if it is part of their current site plan, is it okay for it to be used in the way that you're wanting to use it? Because assuming with Martin Marietta, they're not gonna screw themselves over.
No,
So they're not
no.
gonna allow something that's gonna like have MSHA violations
yeah.
and all
Yeah.
that. So I'm just curious, like, is this part of their site plan? Another thought is the whole Wilson Creek thing, again, going back to the planning commission and concerned about water and what could leach out. I guess Martin Marietta's reclamation plan, in the end, I don't know how many more years they have to be there and how far back they're.
We have a 99-year lease.
Okay, and where are you into the
We're
night?
probably 20 or so into
Okay.
2022.
So anyways, usually there's also a reclamation plan, curious, along with,
That's all in their separate special use permit from 1994, and they've kept that updated with the county. I was back in the office, the ladies in the office there pulled all that pile like this for me. I went through that, and yeah, they've got an environmental team that's what they do, is keep on top
so
of
in that,
this.
so I guess my concern would be, is you build your project, Martin Marietta's done, they're doing the reclamation plan, and the state says you have to put Wilson Creek back where it goes. Does Wilson Creek actually still flow?
It's an intermittent stream is how the Department of Agriculture refers to it. And our water rights from 72, I believe is when we got our first permit, 72 or 75, I can't remember which. I went through a file my mom had like this, okay? We turned those back for non-use in 2009, okay? So when I spoke with Department of Agriculture, Water Rights Department, they got a big file on us, and they see, hey, all your paperwork's filed timely, and you went through the 3 years reporting no use, turned back in correctly. Yeah, you would be eligible to reapply. Here's the process, here's the application fee, and it will take approximately a year, okay? Now, if we wouldn't have turned them back in, it would be a whole nother story. But the land there is released from bond, okay, by the Department of Agriculture, back to Martin Marietta. So there's no more quarrying activity going to take place there. There's
Well, and I'm
no
not
more
concerned
reclamation.
about
But
that.
that is one point that they test for turbidity. And I can find out the other points, if the county be interested, that they test for this turbidity, which is just suspended particulate in the water. I can find that out for you. And I spoke with an environmental controls guy about what my water testing plan would be. And he gave me some very good pointers about, hey, test all the water coming in, test at the 7 locations where water comes onto your property or their property as to what's coming in. And then the single point of exit is right there for the entire section.
Yeah.
Okay. And I brought that up to Planning and Zoning Committee, and that I was putting that type of plan together. So I'm willing to do what the county would like to know. You brought up toxicity. There's and I want to make sure this part's perfectly clear, is I'm not here representing the solar energy business as a whole. I'm talking about my project, my components. I've chosen them very carefully. One of the things was I chose a solar module that could provide me with the testing that there's none of the 8 dangerous heavy metals, cadmium, selenium, lead is present in the solder, okay, that they use to attach all this together, just above background level on a mass spectrometer, okay? 2 trips to the University of Kansas trying to understand how would that be toxic in water led me to, if you go through the minutes, I answered Commissioner Hornbuckle, you would need 450 of them, 470 of them to go in, and they'd need to be in for 7 years in the water, okay? Because lead's not really water soluble, it doesn't dissolve. And it's in 140 million gallons of water, okay? When I asked the Dutch people that make the floats, hey, since 2012, all of your installations, how many times has a solar panel come loose? Okay, with 175,000 solar panels mounted in about 40 installations in 14 different countries, okay, they've had 10 out of 175,000 that one reason or another, extreme weather event, improper installation, okay, that have come loose, and none of them made it actually into the water. They just got loose and were in this array, which the planning and zoning demonstrated how these things are put together, and you got a huge solar module. It's not like I dropped my keys into the pond. It's 8 foot long and 4.5 foot wide. So the module that I selected has that report that is cut in 120 pieces with a water jet, soaked in acetate, ran through a mass spectrometer, and the things people are worried about, plus mercury, 8 heavy metals plus mercury, are not present in that module, okay? So if these things, highly unlikely that they get into the water, not impossible if a tornado comes through, I agree with that, okay? But I stated, if we have a weather event like that, I'll report it to the county, and we'll have people on site the next day. It won't be all repaired the next day, but we will be starting on it the next day. It won't be like pictures you see from tornadoes down in Texas or in Florida, or hurricanes have gone through, and you see these solar fields that sit for a year. For the life of me, I can't figure out why anybody would leave something sit like that unless it has to do with an insurance company, and I'm not going to do that.
Do we have any more questions? Lauren?
I guess, I don't know if it's really a question. It'd be more, the whole thing that I think comes up with what the concern of most people is, and I'll just pass the buck to the state, because they've been asked to have some independent, third-party studies on some of these things, with water and what's going to happen. And without having, this environmental study at a more intricate level done, it does not give anybody a peace of mind. And
Well, nobody could explain to me, what are you testing for?
well, so exactly, that's the deal. It's like, what do you test for? And because I'm a researcher, I have watched a gentleman who get his information from UC Davis Energy and Efficiency Institute, who his PhD study was on, which I think it's a fun word for your thing, photovoltaics, floatable photo, but, and so he says that there should be baseline testing before installing this, because, so.
That's what I had agreed to with planning and zoning to do for the water testing, was this stuff only flows twice a year, like right now, and then again in the fall, probably like October, November, December-ish. I'll go out and we'll do the baseline water testing.
But, they
no
do
problem with that.
testing, on algae blooms, oxygen levels.
We're gonna aerate it, so,
You're going to aerate it? And
yeah,
then,
for the paddlefish.
And then I also found what was it? The Federal Bureau of Reclamation even states further research is needed in general to determine water quality effects. And so, and the Federal Bureau of Reclamation is the ones that likes to try to put what you're doing on large bodies of water. And so it's like, we don't have that information. And so that's what makes it hard. And that also, to me, goes in line with the golden rule of, let me find it here. It says, does the proposed use create a benefit to public health, safety, and welfare? And I personally am not sure that I can guarantee that. So that would be a concern for me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm willing,
Does anybody else have questions? I don't want to hog it, so like, I'm
willing to
curious.
I'm willing to test for whatever you all would like to put as stipulations on there, within reason. However, when I have a planning and zoning member, dead set on not going through the steps, but going to a phase 2 or phase 3 environmental study, that could be potentially $100,000, $150,000, $200,000. Looking for what? To what end? Why? Okay? And in my study of wells, of water wells around there, okay, in the book, I put I believe 6 or 7 that are within a mile to a mile and a quarter radius, including one that was drilled directly on that site to 165 feet. There's an aquifer map in there that shows that my site is in between 2 arms of the Osage Aquifer, okay? I have to go 2 miles away to find a water well that ever produced any water, that wasn't a dry hole when Mr. Swank drilled it. I went to Wade Mesas, north of me, more than 2 miles north of me, and he said that, yes, I got one, it's a little more than a trickle, we use it we've got rural water, we use it on the lawn, okay? To the west of me, it's 1.5 miles at the Killies, and I, on the spot, offered to test them. Their question to me was, what are you gonna test for? Kind of laughingly, and I said, the county will tell me that. And so they were not open to me testing. That's the only one I found that had water in it.
Any more questions, Dawn?
Not this time.
Okay,
No.
let's kind of round it up if we can.
Okay.
I
That's,
think he's already talked enough.
pardon me, I'm sorry.
Oh, I mean,
Yes, I think we should go ahead and go to public comment. I think we're just walking in circles here.
It's entirely up to you guys. You can always bring Mr. Edwards back up later if you so choose.
Yeah, I'm happy if you guys want to have a study session, we can sit down. I mean, like Commissioner Matter said, there's an unbelievable amount of work here, of work done here. And I paired, okay, so I've been to about somewhere between 35 and 40 of these planning and zoning and county commission meetings all over Kansas, Indiana, Ohio, and Missouri, okay? Trying to understand what concerns were and also what concerns are legitimate, okay? And understanding how big companies with literally unlimited resources put these reports together, okay? Savion's report for Douglas County is 2,900 pages. And there's an addendum that's another 700, okay? In my book, that's engineers doing billable hours, because a lot of it's just stated and restated and restated, okay? I tried to cut to the heart of this, but the one thing I can tell you is in about 50 of these that I've gone through, top to bottom, mine is the only one that includes that toxicity leaching report. I don't know why. I don't know why they all don't so I'd encourage you in the comprehensive plan, you've got to include that, because otherwise you don't know what's going out onto this land. But it's an EPA ASTM test that's been in existence since 1981. It's for testing hazardous waste going into landfills is what it was originally developed for, okay? So I mean, I live here, I grew up here, And throughout this whole process, I'm really irritated. Somebody at Walmart parking lot called me a carpetbagger, like I was an out-of-town guy coming in trying to profiteer off of Franklin County. I'm like sitting here going, we've owned that piece of land since the 1960s, and my grandfather came here over 100 years ago. So that's one of the reasons that I get a little bit vehement about it. It's where I grew up. So I'm not trying to, decimate the land, decimate the community. All of my neighbors around there, Pat sent me the 100-foot notification. Every neighbor within 2 miles, I've gone to their house to explain to them and I've received no pushback. Okay, sorry.
So we've heard your opinion, so
Yeah.
now we're gonna move on to,
I have no batteries, no plans for batteries, and the county councilor has clearly said that there's no precedent. I believe that's what you said?
Yes, it's what I said.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to save you some time on public comments, because that's gonna be a third of them.
all right, okay.
We're ready for public comment.
Yeah.
Our first public commenter is Barb Wonderly.
You've got 3 minutes. I'm gonna run a little
On the clock.
on the clock.
Barb Wonderly, 2881 Nevada Terrace. I'm reading this on behalf of Norman Woogie at 3790 Pawnee Road, Ottawa, Kansas. I want to thank this commission for allowing us to speak. We as a group are here today to plead for the commission to protect our quality of life. Most of us are at retirement age and set up to enjoy the rest of our life in peace and quiet. One of our pleasures is to see unpolluted sunset in the west. My family on the East Coast welcomed the windmills, as windmills would be located out in the ocean, thus not destroying the quality of land's heritage. They regret that choice and want to not have the problems connected with the windmills disappear. It's too late. The problems are leaking oil and shedding of fiberglass from friction, and its aging are making the fish sick. The windmills west of Waverly, Kansas, are shedding fiberglass particles in the air that's probably more dangerous than asbestos. Once these particles get in the air, they can travel many miles with the air currents. If we are outside, we are exposed to the air, those particles will enter our lungs and into other organs, putting our health at risk. Martin, my friend, lives near windmills. Martin spends most of his time fighting pancreatic and liver cancer and has had a cornea transplant. A lesson should be learned from the ocean experience in Waverly, Kansas. Exposure. Once the windmills are allowed in the county, it's too late. Please vote to protect us. Pray to lead us all from temptation. And I will add to that, we moved to Franklin County so we could run a small cattle operation and have the views that we have. We don't want the wind turbines in Franklin County. It's a beautiful county, and we sure as heck don't want these solar farms, industrial, commercial, and I don't want to call them farms because they're not. But we don't want them here because you know darn well, the first big hailstorm we have, all those chemicals leak into the water table, and that water table is going to head out into Franklin County somewhere, and it may affect my cattle drinking out of my pond. So I ask that you totally ban wind turbines and commercial solar in Franklin County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions?
Next.
No question.
Norman Woogie.
Norman Woogie, 3790 Pawnee Road, Ottawa, Kansas. I'm critical of my own work. I would like to respond to that writing. Fiberglass. Don't panic. Fiberglass is an insulation that's considered safe. Coal was used in yesteryears, was safe. We all know that coal dust was not. People that worked around the coal dust had health problems, miners' consumption, and the black lung. The windmills and the solars have fiberglass and other carcinogens. that in time may well be a serious dust damage. The windmills of the ocean are subjected to corrosion and salt. Salt eats away metal for sure. I don't know the chemistry involved with the other reactions. I do know that dust can get into your eyes and into your mouth. I'm not willing to take that chance. My friends and neighbors don't want to move away, as we have put our heart and soul in making our homes beautiful and a pleasure to live in Franklin County, Kansas. Thank you.
Susan Hughes.
Hello, I'm Susan Hughes. I live at 1201 South Ash here in Ottawa. I'm going to ask you to vote no on any commercial solar or wind in Franklin County. It is not good for the county. It's good for other places because the power that's generated does not stay here, it goes somewhere else. But we have to pay the cost. It has health issues. Any of these plants, commercial plants, have health issues of there's stray voltage, there's the noise, there's the flash, the shadows that can make epileptic seizures worse. There's always damage to these things. They do not have a long life. They end up contaminating the air, the water, the ground, and who is left to pick up these pieces after the storm? A lot of times it is the county because these companies that come in and sign the leases don't do it. You're also restricted use of your own land and your neighbors. Your neighbors have no say in this, they have no benefit, but they have to pay the price of not being able to use their land the way they want to. Land values go down. It's almost impossible to sell property next to a wind or solar plant. Nobody wants to live there. They also don't pay taxes, and so somebody has to pay the taxes because it doesn't, the county's needs don't go down just because you have all these places getting tax abatements. So our taxes go up, the utility rates go up as we build the lines to send this power to other places. So in any of these, we just really ban all of these. They're not good for our county. We pay the cost, other people in other states to get the benefit. The only people here that get benefits are the people that sign leases. And most of the time, they're going to find out they're not getting what they were promised. They have non-disclosures, which means to me, if you can't be open about what you're doing, then there's something shady going on. And that passes on down to the people that might inherit that land. So just vote no on any commercial solar. Franklin County is not the place for it. We can't afford it. We don't want to pay for this. Thank you.
Jessica Christopher.
Jessica Christopher, 2355 Nebraska, in Ottawa. Vice Chair Metter, she 100% spoke to the precedent we've been discussing. I wasn't talking about legal precedent. I was talking about the precedent of what Franklin County is made of. Right now, Franklin County is untouched by any commercial renewable energy projects. No approvals have been made, no precedent has been set. The last time the comprehensive plan was drafted, utility scale projects didn't exist. And in a time when we're starting to fully realize the scarcity of clean water in this state is a project with this many variables that could contaminate the river where we want to start. I'd just like to ask that you give yourselves time. I ask you to take time to fully integrate your vision for Franklin County into the comprehensive plan prior to making any allowances for any energy projects in this county. Because as many counties have learned, you can always develop in the future, but you don't get a second chance at saying no once Pandora's box has been opened. And we don't want to see the entire legacy of this county to be determined because we let one project receive approval. Please consider a moratorium until which time you can thoughtfully draft our next comprehensive plan. Thank you, guys.
Darren Hibden.
Darren Hibden, 1844 Oregon Road, Princeton. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here this morning, I'm a resident, a landowner, and a taxpayer. I'm not sure our applicant can say that, something we might want to look into. I hope this is just not something being brought in from the outside, and he's just the front man for them, and I hope you explore those options. But my biggest concern for being here is the environmental part. I operate grass and run cattle from Princeton on into Miami County, and all of those cattle and our own family, our rural water comes based off of the Meridazine River. And we're in the Meridazine watershed, and we're putting these solar panels right out on the water. The quarry is very deep. I think there are plenty of opportunity for contamination of our water. And as we look, Ottawa, Osawatomie, Rural Water 6, as we go on down the Osage into Missouri, many municipalities get water out of the Meridazine. That is my biggest concern. I could say it's an eyesore, but that doesn't matter. An eyesore to me may not be an eyesore to somebody else. Cedar trees and hedge trees are eyesores to me. Cattle grazing in a pasture might be an eyesore to somebody else. So is it an eyesore? It really doesn't matter. Is it a good fit for Franklin County? I really don't think so. Thank you.
Beth Hamel.
Good morning. I'm Beth Hamill, 2559 Nebraska Road, Ottawa. Everybody said enough. I'm not going to even use anywhere near my 3 minutes. My feeling as a resident, a landowner, and a taxpayer is to not fall into the solar or wind, whatever we want to call it. Everybody's going to regret it. I think every one of these big projects, whether it's on water or not on water, is eventually going to be a garbage dump. We're going to get old, 2 years are going to go by, and we're going to have garbage dumps everywhere. And that's not a legacy I'd like to leave. So my request is to please ban both of them, and let's move on. Thank you.
Judy Davis Cole.
Hi, Judy Davis Cole. I live at 3241 Oregon Road, and I am going to be the one stand out. Allow Mr. Edwards to have his solar farm. You listen to all of these concerns about the environment, about this little piece of something that might get into the water. We're using fossil fuels, people. What do you think the fossil fuels have done to our environment over the years? So much more than what a solar farm that is well researched, and let me tell you, very well researched, and every element that they have asked of Mr. Edwards, he has answered to the best of the abilities using expert input from universities across the country. If you're going to ban energy, well then why don't we go back to candles and fireplaces? Because we're using fossil fuels now to the detriment of everybody's environment. Please let Mr. Edwards have his solar project. Let's study it, let's watch it, let's monitor it with all of the technology that we have available to us, and go forward in the future. Our energy requirements are only going to increase as time goes on. We're only going to be able to meet those energy requirements with all fuels, fossil, alternative, solar, wind, fusion, even sources that we've probably not even heard of yet. Let Mr. Edwards have his solar farm, and let's let Franklin County move into the future. Thank you.
Carla Griffith.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carla Griffith. I live here in Franklin County. First, I guess I'm kind of out of order here. I'd like to share some important news about a rally that the Franklin County Action Network, FCAN, is hosting. It will take place on the courthouse lawn on Saturday, April 26th from noon to 1 p.m. The rally is called Kansas Free State. And it's a family-friendly event. Everyone is welcome to come and show support or express dissatisfaction with the decisions made by our legislators in Topeka and the laws they have or have not passed. Next, I would like to address Mr. Edwards' request. I believe we should respect Mr. Edwards' vision for his private land and allow him to use it as he sees fit. We already have a solar array here in our county, and it has been here for years without causing any of the issues the opposition fears. It has survived hailstorms and windstorms without incidents. No fires, no broken glass, no eyesores, and no pollution. In fact, this array is part of the City of Ottawa Power Co-op and has been an example of how solar energy can help provide clean power to our community. If the concerns about pollution and eyesores are the issue, I'd like to point out the ongoing project at Proximity Park, a huge data center that will take up acres of land, which will be covered in concrete, blocking the natural absorption of rainfall into our aquifer. This project will use millions of gallons of water, something we should be cautious about, especially given that we're near the edge of the drought line. And it will require so much energy that they'll need to build a fossil fuel plant to support its energy demands, which will only increase pollution and drive up energy costs. This project will offer very few jobs and includes a tax abatement, meaning the company will receive as much as a 75% break on taxes. This ultimately shifts the burden to us taxpayers. We will need to make up for that loss. On the other hand, Mr. Edwards' projects aims to do the opposite. He's asking for permission to use his land responsibly, with no eyesore and a focus on green energy, which will benefit his tenants and allow business and fellow businesses. He plans to produce food, raise fish, and importantly, not request any tax breaks, making it a win for everyone involved.
Thank you.
Thank you for your attention.
Karine Ulam.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Karine Ulam. I live at 1240 South Hickory Street in Ottawa. I first want to thank you also for giving us an opportunity to give you our input, and thank you for considering Mr. Edwards' proposal so very carefully, particularly Commissioner Meador. I appreciate that you have really dug into the details because that means a lot to me as a county citizen, that you're not taking this lightly and that you're checking it at all angles. My concerns are some of the people who have spoken here this morning have painted quite a broad brush, putting windmills and solar in one package together, and I think they each have their own pros and cons, and his proposal is strictly about solar, and I think that's what you should be focusing on as well. And there have been also some claims made about what will happen if there's a hailstorm or something happens to damage these things, and the county will be left cleaning up the contamination. I don't know what sources could be cited for those claims, but I want to make sure that we are checking the facts and that we know for sure whether those claims are in fact valid. I do share the concern about what could happen to our water. However, lots of stuff ends up in the Murtisine. And if a tornado comes, there's going to be plenty of other things in there besides solar panels, if in fact those should come loose. And we all know that there are plenty of ways to clean the water. We all drink the water that comes out of the Murtisine. So I'm not particularly concerned about the solar panels' impact on the water. I'm more concerned about the fact that we have an entrepreneurial gentleman who has spent hundreds and hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars attempting to do everything right, attempting to satisfy all of the requirements. He's been at this for several years, working with professionals and experts. I don't know what more we want in Franklin County, honestly. He seems to be a man of goodwill. I do not know Mr. Edwards. I have never met him before, but he certainly seems willing to satisfy the requests and do all he can to put as his, I'm not sure who it was, but said that you put Franklin County on the map as something that's very visionary, very different. And I would like to see us entertain that idea and have us be forward-looking in terms of what is possible with these old quarries. I'm very intrigued by it, and I would like us not to just choose a broad brush and say, no, not here, not in my backyard. So I would like to speak in favor of Mr. Edwards' proposal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Therese Laughlin.
Therese Laughlin, 4896 Nevada Road, Baldwin. Good morning. I too thank you for the hard work that you put in and the time involved. Mine's short and sweet. I ask the commissioners to vote no on special use permit application 2410-0003 Edwards. I also ask the commissioners to please place a ban on industrial, commercial, solar. Thank you.
That's all the public commenters.
Before you resume discussion, I would offer a few words of, I guess, a encouragement or a recommendation. You all are here today to discuss Mr. Edwards' special use permit application. That's what this is. This isn't, you shouldn't be contemplating some subsequent application that may be coming down the pipeline. This isn't where we discuss bans or moratoriums. You can do that after the fact if you would like, but we're here today to discuss Mr. Edwards' application on its own merits. So again, he's here. If you have more questions for him, by all means. But at this point, it's kind of on the five of you to have your discussion, give your thoughts. So,
Anybody got a little input?
It's not a question for him where he's at, but I served a couple terms on the planning board, and I feel I went to a couple of the meetings. I read all the minutes. I've read all that, and I belong to the Middle Murtisine Advisory Board also for water in our area. And so I'm not speaking from just a county commissioner or a resident. I belong to the Lake Region RC&D for 25 years, which is a water-oriented organization. I'm also the state president of that organization. And so, I'm just not up here sitting on the corner taking up a chair. And I read the minutes here and on the last. What I get from the planning board, they're just not happy with insufficient information they've asked for and not been provided. And that's their whole statement when they make the motion. It wasn't that they was afraid of him or afraid of presidents or afraid of anything. They were just afraid that they weren't given enough information on different aspects of what could happen with it being there, or enough guidance from just like he talked about, recommended because it's sufficient information about the possible water pollution. I don't know whatever question they ask, and someone probably show up in, but Dee does a heck of a job when she does. And I did, like I said, it did come to a couple of meetings, and I passed several solar front yards on my way there this morning. And I don't think the word is not solar. It's just a project, because I think everybody there, the pole has to go with the solar panels that out front of every house in Franklin County, if them people want that. So, it's just for their personal use, and doesn't bother anybody else. And so, that's all.
I again very much appreciate the planning commission. They've sat through a lot of your comments, a lot of information. I think my concern at this time is that the comprehensive plan, we are still looking forward to that. And there is a possibility that we would ban solar, at least commercial industrial solar at that point. And so to move forward with a project that could potentially be banned when we redo the comprehensive plan doesn't make a lot of sense to me. There have been so many questions, and a lot of them have been answered, but I think there's questions we don't even know that we have about some of the things that are going on in this industry. I truly feel like solar and wind are probably past their prime. I'm looking forward to other solutions, hydrogen, nuclear. I mean, they're talking about putting individual nuclear plant. Anyway, I think there's many more options in the future instead of putting something here that's going to be here for 50 years. But anyway, that's where I am.
I agree with Dawn. It's not, I mean, we are looking at this project, and I would say overall, it's just, I would like to see more to make me feel more comfortable. I mean, we can say, I can sit here and promise you the moon, but can I deliver it? And so that's tricky, and I think, and again, going on with, as people have expressed to me in my district, and people on the street, or whoever, come up and say things, and with, along with the golden rule stuff, I can't guarantee that this will create a benefit to the public health and safety and welfare community at this point in time. I'm not saying never, but I'm not comfortable at this time.
So,
Hey, I replied to a couple of these things. Hopefully I do them directly and not run on.
No.
Derek, if you want to start the 3 minutes, we can start.
That's entirely up to the commissioners.
We've had public comment, and we've had.
give him 3 minutes and then.
That's up to you guys.
Does Colt want to?
It's your decision, your meeting, sounds reasonable.
Come on up for 3 minutes.
Apply to one of the public comments, which I appreciate everybody's public comments. I think this is, great community. Grew up in Franklin County, OHS class of 1984. I said publicly on KOFO broadcast, last time I rode a tractor for an entire day was 1994, and I don't ever care to do it again, okay? I currently reside in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, have a Missouri driver's license. However, 3 to 4 days a week, I'm at our house on Montana Road working on this project, okay? So, I mean, I would think I'm as Franklin County as anybody. That's why I was offended that somebody called me a carpetbagger. To Commissioner Stottlemyre's remark, appreciate him coming and listening to the long, confusing planning and zoning meetings. The reason given in the, I want to say the sheet right there was lack of documentation for wetlands and wildlife, and Commissioner Hornbuckle said that taking care of the eagles. Well, That's factually inaccurate. In that binder, in the PDF of my application, all of that information is there. I don't know why he represented that it wasn't there, but it's there, okay? I got the minutes or the bylaws for the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I believe there's a conflict of interest of one member of that, and I'd like to, who do I address that to? I believe one of the members did not recuse themselves when they should have. Do I bring it up to you guys privately, to Pat, to Derek, to who? Or would you like me to say it right now? I don't particularly want to say it in an open forum at this moment.
Think of it this way. If you end up with 3 votes here, that would have been enough if you didn't have a decision at the planning commission you didn't, right? I would worry about that if you end up with 3 votes here, because then it would have potentially made a difference.
Okay.
If you don't end up with 3 votes, it's a non-factor, right?
Okay.
I mean, is that a?
Yeah, no,
reasonable-
that's perfectly clear.
Okay.
That's perfectly clear.
Put that on the shelf for now.
Okay.
Planning board's only an advisory board.
Pardon me?
They're only an
Okay.
advisory board. Their vote doesn't carry any power except for as an advisory board that we listen to, that we point to those boards to investigate and look into and give their opinion.
Okay. Thank you.
Their vote is an opinion.
Thank you for clarifying that. Okay, 10 seconds, I addressed hail in the Planning and Zoning Commission study session and how we were going to mitigate it, so it's in there. Thank you.
Thank you. If he wasn't signed up.
Yeah, he's the applicant. He gets wider latitude, so.
We had to sign up before, Charlie. Am I hearing approval, consideration or denial, or remanding?
So I need you guys to speak up here because I am going to attempt to paraphrase what I feel like I've heard at least 2 of you say. That you have environmental concerns and concerns about how this may affect the water supply, and you're not prepared to approve because you don't feel like your concerns have been addressed. And if a couple of you are in agreement with that, it would be an option for this board to make a motion to uphold the Planning Commission's findings and deny the Edwards application based on those concerns. If that's not how you feel, then absolutely you don't have to go that route. Just, I feel like I've got a couple of you there, but that's my own feelings.
Have any thoughts?
I don't have so much concern about the water, but just solar, hail, tornadoes. I don't want them in my landfill. There are unanswered questions, and I don't know. I mean, we're not going to get those answers till you put it in, and then it's there for 50 years, and then you find out, oh.
Well, I agree. I don't know if I agree is the right word, but I understand people's concern regarding environmental issues. It's all depending on your worldview and how you look at it. Could you be replacing one supposed or possible, environmental issue with fossil fuels and replacing it with another that down the road is equally that way? But I guess I'm willing to make a motion that we uphold the Planning Commission's recommendation for denial.
I would like the motion to read
The whole thing.
denying special use permit application 2410-00.
I need it in front of me. My computer just went down. Do you have it? Okay. Okay. I make a motion that we uphold the Planning Commission's recommendation of denial for the special use permit application 2410-003 for the construction and operation of the commercial solar energy conversion system in the A1 agricultural zoning district.
There's a second.
Second.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Metter?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Chair Harris?
Yes.
Rod, do you want to take
Let's take a little break.
how, 5 or 10 minutes, what do you guys need?
I got things to do.
5, all right with you girls?
5 is good for me.
All right, 5 minutes.
I have an 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Get our meeting started again. Item 2, consider approval amending resolution 25-04, approving rezoning application 2408-0019 Sync.
All right, we'll start the 3-minute clock. Here we go. Just joking. All right, this is commonly known as 3853 Iowa, roughly 4 miles northwest of Ottawa. We've previously seen this recently. There was this is previously seen in application. There was a miscommunication between the applicant and the bank of which 3 acres needed to be zoned. We have made the correction to the resolution in order to allow for the rezoning of the property in the proper location required to fulfill the applicant's needs. This rezoning still meets the criteria and intent as previously presented. What we've done is we've gone from the northwest corner, or the north 3, to actually involving the house, which as it should have happened in the first place. Other than that, still family-oriented sales to the kiddo, and going forward with that.
This is truly a procedural matter for legal purposes. There is nothing effectively changing here. There was just an error, so we need to pass a resolution to update an existing resolution. That's all this is.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Was there a second?
Yes, second.
Oh, sorry.
Fast.
Commissioner Metter?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Chair Harris?
Yes. Number 3, acceptance of the dedication of the final plat of the Funk Estate 3. Pat.
Okay, this is commonly known as 1650 Idaho, located a half-mile south of Homewood. This is the final plat for the creation of a new lot, which requires replatting due to previous splits of this property. There's a letter on file for proof of water availability. Planning Commission did not have any discussion and made a motion to recommend approval. Staff concurs with that motion.
Any discussion? There, a motion.
I make a motion to accept the dedication of rights-of-ways and easements and authorize the chairman to endorse the final plat of Funk Estates 3, located in the east half of the northeast quarter of Section 11, Township 18 South, Range 18 East.
Second.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Metter?
Yes.
Chair Harris?
Yes. 4 and 5 is Dustin's deal. Approval of the 2026 juvenile comprehensive plan and approval of the adult comprehensive plan.
Good morning, Commissioners. The first item we have for you is the approval of the fiscal year 26 juvenile comprehensive plan grant application. This is what we reviewed in the study session last week. This grant is for $560,449.34 to fund our juvenile community correctional services for the fiscal year. This plan and application was approved by our advisor board on March 18th of this year. And so we are seeking approval of that before we submit this to the Kansas Department of Corrections. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Dustin? Do we need a motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
Are we doing them both at this point? Are we?
We're just
Bundling
doing
them?
juvenile. Commissioner Waymire, Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Metter?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson? Chair Harris?
Yes. On 5.
The next one is the approval of our fiscal year 26 adult comprehensive plan grant application. This is in the amount of $740,506.75 to fund our adult community correctional services for the fiscal year. And again, this plan and application were approved by our advisory board on March 18th, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have on that plan.
Covered in study session, I'd make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2026 Kansas Department of Corrections Adult Comprehensive Plan Grant app.
Second.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Metter?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Chair Harris?
Yes. Item 6, approval of community corrections to purchase 2 used 2023 Ford Escapes in the amount of $49,432.
Yes, thank you. We had gone through this process about a year ago at this time to purchase a used Ford Escape from Bob Allen Ford here in Ottawa. And so at this time, our vehicle fleet is aging, as you'll see in our trade-in values. We had a 2008 and a 2010 that we were wanting to trade in, so we've gotten more than the useful life out of those 2 vehicles. And so Bob Allen Ford is offering 2 used 2023 Ford Escapes, pardon me. One has less than 7,000 miles, one has just over 17,000 miles. The total purchase price after trade-in and with the service agreements through Bob Allen Ford would be the total of $49,432.00. I'm happy to answer any questions on the purchase of these.
I think it's a great timing because who knows what vehicle prices are going to do, so I think get it done.
The, so what are the vehicles? You say we are trading in the 2?
Yep, one is a 2008 Ford Fusion and one is a 2010 Chevy Malibu.
We're only getting $750 for trade-in.
On the Malibu and $500 trade-in value on the Fusion.
Are they high miles?
Oh yes, they have 150,000 miles plus on each of them.
300,000 is high miles.
Yeah, that's not high.
Actually, no, they are okay in that regard.
Are you thinking you'd get more money selling them outright?
You would think.
It's down there, but I think the purchase price is very good too, so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a deal as a whole, and I think you
That's true.
did a good job shopping and finding us a good value, a vehicle that's adequate or appropriate for the use, so.
Well, and to be clear, these are funds from your, I mean, these aren't
Correct.
Franklin County property taxes that pay
Right.
for these. These are out of your adult grant, and that
That's
was
correct.
approved as part of your 25 budget.
Yeah, we budgeted for these purchases for the fiscal year. And so shopping around and seeing what prices were out there, again, that's the process we used last year as well. These don't have a ton of bells and whistles on them either. One does have navigation, which does come in handy when we're traveling across 4 counties, and then often to conferences and things like that as well. But
Really up to you whether you should use them as a trade-in or to sell them on the.
No, it's up to us, but I understand your concerns. You're very good at being critical of the money you spend, and I don't want to tear apart every line. Step back far enough, and
Yeah.
this dollar amount is very reasonable, very fair price for what we're getting, so I'd be happy to make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Commissioner Metter?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Chair Harris?
Yes. Consider appointing George Ogle and Albert Harris.
yes, and thank you for the discussion on that last item. I appreciate that. This one is to appoint 2 members to our local advisory board. As we had discussed in the study session last week, there are several vacancies on that board. There are several statutory requirements for that board that we need to meet. Both Mr. Ogle and Mr. Harris would help us meet these things. Mr. Ogle's here today if you have any questions of him, but he is a local builder. He's actually active with the local Narcotics Anonymous groups. Mr. Harris is a local criminal defense attorney, and so both of those perspectives are going to be beneficial for our stakeholders that advise community corrections on our practices and our things that we do day in and day out with our population. Both of these gentlemen have been attending our advisory board meetings for some time now, I believe at least a year, and they've been very interested in becoming voting members, and the current members of the board are supportive of their appointments. So I'm happy to answer any questions, or again, Mr. Ogle is here as well too.
Sounds like a good deal.
I think they're both good, beneficial, knowing Mr. Harris and Mr. Ogle both, and their backgrounds, I feel like they'd be great. So I would make a motion to appoint George Ogle and Albert Harris to the 4th Judicial District Community Corrections Advisory Board.
Second.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Sotomayor?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Metter?
Yes.
Chair Harris?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Item 8, consider approval of tire bid from Pomps Tire, the amount of $21,389.10. Is that Mr. Welton's?
Yes, and I think we're just asking for approval for our typical tire bid.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Same tires or something. Could probably go on the consent agenda too if we'd like.
Commissioner Sotomayor?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Metter?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Chair Harris?
Yes. Staff report.
Yep, a couple of things. First, leftover from last week, Moonrise Bike Ride. You all decided to take a week and gather your thoughts in terms of how much money, if any, you want to allocate to the event, so I will turn it over to you for further discussion.
Actually,
Oh, wait. Okay.
I actually talked to Jeff Carroll about this item. There's much more involved as far as Franklin County in this particular one than he worked with Main Street, and a lot of people come in the day before. They're in Ottawa for the day. He worked with Main Street to have an all-day shopping experience downtown, encourage people, had a concert at Legacy Square before they left. I think that Jeff Carroll's involvement in promoting the trails in Ottawa probably would put his efforts in the top 3 as far as motel rooms in Franklin County, maybe the top 2. And I do know that I guess we didn't officially approve it that day, but 2 weeks ago when we had that meeting, it was televised, it was very publicly and so he actually was moving ahead with planning with the amount that we talked about that day, so I would
What
think
amount was that we landed on?
3,000.
Is what they asked for, and I think that's what we.
They asked for 4.
Oh, they asked for
They asked for 4, we landed on 3. Anyway, I would hate to claw that back at this point, but that's my opinion.
I'm going to bring this back because I did bring it up to revisit it. And my own, I'm not against giving the money to support that. What brought my attention to it was that we eliminated another tourism project that is for profit also. Only we eliminated it, and we're operating in this county for 20 years as a tourism attraction in Franklin County.
Which one was that?
Memory Lane.
Oh, that's what I was thinking.
And they asked for less than 10% of what they're asking for. And it's a month-long event that goes on. I know it don't put people in motels, that's a true fact. That is a very true fact. But it does bring people in from other counties to come here visit, and it has been an attraction, an ongoing attraction for probably 20 years at least. And what he's asking for is a very little minimal amount. And one of his events that we did sponsor, we did put money to, he donates that money back to the Cancer Society. So, he is not out there for big bucks. And it is something, an event, and he is for profit. He tells you that, just like Mr. Carroll said, tells you right off, he's for profit. So that's my only thing that I believe if we're going to do one, You do them both.
As far as the moonlight is, Mike, right, I think it's a reasonable, concern you brought up, but with the additional information that was submitted and the correspondence from Mr. Terrell, I'm comfortable saying that I think these are impact benefit to the county, and that these are funds for that purpose. So I'd make a motion to use the 3,000 transient guest tax dollars to go towards that.
I would second it.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
The only reason I'm voting no is because we're not giving it to both, being fair. When I run for this office, I sat across from a table from a guy 25 years ago, and he asked me what I was going to do as a commissioner. And I said I'd be fair. That's the only thing. My main goal is don't treat anybody any different than you treat somebody else. That's the only reason I'm voting no, because we're not treating both of them the same.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Metter?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Chair Harris?
Yes.
Other item I would like to discuss, as you all have been made aware, the asphalt work that Kilo is currently performing. In preparing their estimate of costs, they made a clerical error. It was a fairly significant one. They have owned that. They have apologized profusely. Nevertheless, it doesn't change the fact that that error exists. That, combined with some overruns in other locations, has led to an increase in costs should we want to finish the project as we described it last week. I will let Jeff get into the specifics of it, and Janet is going to give you an overview of the financial situation in Road and Bridge. So Jeff, go ahead.
Derek, thank you. Yes, Derek said it very poignantly. We did have some clerical errors. We also, these are 15 locations. We started with the worst first, so we have 3 remaining. They rise to the level that we felt they needed to be done, but we have run out of tons. The first estimate was for 1,300 tons. Several locations took more material than what we anticipated once we opened them up and saw what we were dealing with. So basically, right now, if we stopped at this minute, we would still be 150 tons over what we had projected. And we
Clear, just for anybody listening and to, step back, I think most of us know, but when we get a price from them, they estimate the number of tons of asphalt that we would need to put on the road to get the desired effect.
Absolutely.
We have to purchase our asphalt, same as to put on our asphalt roads, same as we have to purchase our gravel to put on our gravel roads.
We have a per ton price that we have to pay, and when that estimate is over and or exceeds it, we have to purchase that remaining material if we continue to finish the
So
project.
that estimate, that guess about how many tons we need to purchase was low.
Correct.
They're not asking, they're letting us know we need more asphalt to
Correct.
fill up our roads. They're not asking for more labor, more mobilization, more fuel, anything like that.
No,
They're
and
just notifying us we need more to fill up the tank.
to be clear, these are locations that weren't just potholes. These are locations that are base failures with moisture underneath them, and you don't know what you have until you dig them. And therefore, in these 15 locations, we've put in numerous drains. We've done a lot of things to repair this, not just to put a Band-Aid over it. So our hopes,
Also, a lot of reasonable events that even the most experienced person wouldn't foresee.
correct. Until you know what you actually have and see it, you don't know until you've opened it up. So the estimates have run along with a complicated issue that Kilo admitted to, where they had a clerical error. That has, again, not gone in our favor in this situation. So if you want to finish the project, it's going to, at this point, we owe them 150 tons if we stop where we're at right now, which they said they could float on if we needed to. If you want to finish this project, we need another 553 total tons, which would be an additional 403. So the number I'm asking today is 553 tons, and that price would be, for what we currently have approved, would be an additional $84,056 if you would wish to finish the project.
As we described last week.
as we described and it was approved, yes, as you, that's
And
what,
if we quit today, what is the monetary price? You
22
need the tons.
22,000, it's $152 a ton. And at $150, we'd owe them just a little over 22,000 if we stop today.
Also, just to be clear, that price is a state price, right?
This
The state
is,
tonnage is what they're going off of.
Yeah, this
And that's
is-
a third party, kind of like fuels determined by a market, a third party, and we
correct.
we
If-
purchased that at a market
correct.
price. Yeah. So
Yes.
it's not, again, it's no way. that
It's
they're
not
taking
inflated.
Advantage of the situation.
No, there's no inflated price on this at all. In fact, I couldn't do any better if we were patching it ourselves as far as the tonnage.
We would like to recommend that we finish the project as initially discussed, and part of the reason for that is our financial situation. Janet, do you want to walk them through your handout?
Yep, so I gave you guys all a handout this morning. I just wanted to give you some numbers that Derek and Jeff and I went over when we were looking to approve the trucks, and then there's some additions at the bottom with some additional things that we've been doing. So as far as the road and bridge fund goes, your 24 year-end balance, you can see it there with subtractions for our year-end transfer that will be done, our funding for the truck purchases that was already budgeted in the road and bridge fund itself and not in special equipment or not in any of our other general reserves. So 660 was already budgeted in there for that. And then part of the project for the Old 50 project was to be paid out of the road and bridge fund, but it all went to special projects. So the 636,000 is the amount that will be transferred out of road and bridge into the special projects account to cover that amount that's needed in special projects.
For what again?
So for the portion of Old 50 that you guys did above and beyond the large project. You can see there that the carryover that we needed to start the year to make budget for 2025 was $1,034,662. So when you subtract that off, you can see that we actually had $285,000 of unencumbered funds at the end of the year that will carry over in the road and bridge fund, but there is no budget authority to spend those at this time. So we will add that into the budget for 2026 to give budget authority to utilize those funds. But we do have more than enough to meet carryover, so road and bridge fund is solid. As we discussed when we approved the Kilo project, we feel like it's still far too early in the year to allocate any funds out of the general road and bridge budget for a project like this. So as we discussed during that time, we would pay that out of reserves. Going down to their special equipment fund, just to cover where the rest of the trucks are coming from. Their year-end balance was 387 plus the 550 for their year-end transfer to get you to 937. We need an additional $1,076,000 for that truck purchase above and beyond the 660 that's coming out of the regular road and bridge fund. So our transfer for 2025 is 950. And just as a reminder, one of these trucks would have been purchased in 2025, so that money would have been there in this account. So we'll go ahead and cover that with some of the transfer. So that leaves us up for a final estimated balance in that account of $811,000 at the end of 25 after we do the transfer and the purchase of all the rest of the trucks. So that is what we planned for that truck purchase. Jumping down to the general reserve balances, you can see there our capital improvement and our capital equipment. Those are our two major reserve funds that we always look at, and those are our gauge for when we have to apply for bonds or anything like that. So that's the two funds that we are trying to maintain our goal, which our target reserve balance, you can see down there on the bottom. And after the Texas Road Bridge Project expenditures, the original bid from Kilo Construction, we are still at over $7 million. So we could very easily complete the rest of this project of $84,000 and still be above our targeted reserve balance. And that does not include any transfers that will happen in 2025. That is just all the transfers that have been done through '24.
Very good. Thank you, Janet.
Do we need to make a motion or anything on that?
Yeah, I would make a motion to approve I'd have Jeff read the amount, but.
Yeah, we would need 553 tons, which is $84,056 above and beyond what you previously approved to complete the 15 locations.
Who are you making that motion?
I can make the motion to approve the 553 extra tons for $84,056, maybe some cents. I don't know.
Second.
Commissioner Metter?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Chair Harris?
Yes.
Didn't want to interrupt the vote. So, on our special, our road and bridge special equipment fund.
Yep.
Obviously you have the trucks, everything. Is there any more equipment we plan on replacing this year?
Not this year, not this year. We do have some blades that have been pushed out that we need to have that discussion
That'll be
sometime. But
next
there's,
year, right?
right, there's nothing at this point.
Those will be a large amount, so
Correct.
it would make sense to try and get that balance up so that we can afford.
Correct. But there's nothing that we have on the agenda this year that's remaining.
All right.
I was going west on 68 and I seen a brand-new truck coming in, dude. Would it happen to end up out here?
It has not yet, Rod, but as soon as we do have one, we will
Blow the next
bring
one
it.
down, you see.
Yeah, I mean, it was brand spanking new. You could tell.
I plan on-
I said, man, it's headed to Ottawa.
I plan on bringing you one at the next Wednesday's commission meeting after we've
Cool.
received it,
Hard to
if you'd be like to have it.
And then, this round of asphalt patchings are real bad damage coming out of winter. We anticipate doing another one ahead of, chip seal?
We will do a lot of that in-house
Okay.
prior to the chip seal. We did cut back our mileage a little bit, so there should be a little bit of money at the top side of that, depending upon what the bids come in at. But yes, we will do the,
Blade patching,
correct. We will do a lot of that preparation ourselves.
which has been a great value to the taxpayer.
Absolutely.
It's not as pretty, but, you're gonna cover it right
Well,
up.
it's temporary and you're gonna cover it up. You're
It
right.
just leaves a nice road, so.
Staff report.
Can I ask one more question? There's a pothole between, that's right at the edge of Eisenhower in front of going to Elizabeth Layton Center that just seems like it opens up. But it's right at the edge of the concrete. Is there,
It's water.
Yeah.
We fought that area for a long time, and the blade guy can't get close enough to the patch area, and the patch won't hold. But it's been a problem. It's
there
just the
again.
water.
So,
Yeah,
all right,
we'll
thank you.
get it, we'll address it again.
all right, thank you.
Nothing, Dak? Okay, Pat? Sheriff?
Morning, sorry to drag on your meeting. I would just wanted to update you on a couple things. We have closed our, the process to accept applications for sheriff deputy vacancies. That was due to, we had two vacancies. We had someone that had left, and we had to do we did a transfer from patrol over. That person went to work for the state, and then we had one that was a resignation as well. That we are filling. Just wanted to update you to let you know we had, I believe it was like 12 or 13 applications, something like that.
Wow.
We had a very good pool.
Cool.
Competitive process. And so we have one of those positions filled, and then we're in the final stages to fill the other. We got some good people still in the running there, so we're looking at that. We are still advertising for a clerk position. One of our recent clerk hires, when we hired her, we were hoping that she was going to be here a long time, but her husband has taken a job that's going to take them out of the area. So she'll be leaving here in May. And so we have that process open, and I believe we've already received 10 applications for that as well.
Wow.
So just wanted you to know things are going well on the job side of things. In the county, right now, they're doing their annual the seatbelt monitoring program thing that the state does. So you might see people between now and the end of July parked along the side of I-35 someplace. They will be wearing reflective vests that say KDOT, and they're doing traffic surveys. They're counting cars and looking at seatbelts and all that stuff. So that's what they're there for. So obviously, if you get calls that there's something suspicious, we'll go out and check it out, but there's a good chance that that's what that would be. And then I also wanted to update you on I guess more from a budgetary information. We have a very high inmate count, and for a little while, we've had to farm out a larger number of inmates than we normally do. So right now, I believe we have 16 farmed out as of this morning. So we don't always have that many farmed out, so I wanted to let you guys know that's where we're at. We just only have so much capacity, and we had more inmates than we had room for. So we do have them farmed out. Most of ours are in Anderson or Osage County is where they're farmed out to. So that's really all I have, unless you guys have questions for me.
You know, I read the old yep, don't believe everything you read. Poor thing. But it's a nice that you have a new jail and all, but I read in there, it ain't been that many years ago, what, the 10, 11 years they put in their new jail?
Where at?
Garnett.
Oh, yeah, down in, yeah.
And already turning over some big, huge infrastructure stuff needing. So, I mean, you have when you need it, but it all comes back eventually.
Most of their inmates are Franklin County inmates, so we're, yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Dustin?
Dustin.
Commissioners, I do have one quick thing I want to share. Kansas is the first state in the nation that has taken on this Stepping Up for Youth initiative that is aimed at bringing more and expanded behavioral health access to youth in the juvenile justice system. And as such, Franklin County is one of the pilot sites in the state. There are 7 pilot sites in total. Franklin County was chosen to be one of those, where we are going to look at some best practices on how we can get our kids the behavioral health help that they need, hopefully in the effort to prevent them from getting into the system in the first place. And so the Elizabeth Layton Center and Community Corrections are partnering on this effort to be a pilot site, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about that, but I wanted to bring it to your attention.
Questions? Thank you.
Thanks.
Dustin? Jeff?
I just want to thank you guys for what you just did. I want to thank Derek and Janet for helping me through this process, and I appreciate it. Our guys have been out there working with Kilo to get this done as cheaply as possible, and I want to thank everybody for working together on it. That's it.
Commissioners?
Make it quick. Rock Creek Road, jobs Keller's been doing out there, I got tons of comments, good comments from people, you know. They even wanted to know who to call and thank. And I give them Jeff's number. This one time I enjoy giving him your number.
Yeah.
Usually, I give him the office number, not your number. But anyhow, you don't get that very often, and I had several people that commented how nice it went, and I'm one of them. It's good.
I'll just say I went to the Power Pass ribbon cutting last Wednesday evening, and it was good to see a nice quality built structure in the park that was not done with taxpayer money, dedicated to one of the members. It's a great place I think that people could utilize in the community. And I also went to the City of Pomona Council meeting and normal city meeting stuff.
Ryan?
I'm just going to say I went, represented the county. That's all I got today.
All right.
So moved. Your motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Aye, aye, aye.